want to say good afternoon to everybody tuning in. I guess a short way to put it, I'm definitely what you would call a dreamer, a brewer first when it comes to my relationship with Magic the Gathering. My name is Casey. I work at Mana Vault Games. I'm kind of the Magic guy there, and I kind of do everything I could to like crack this code that we got with the game and all its complexities and different things you can make work and cards bouncing off each other and whatnot. So today I thought, why not go over a new card? A card that I think might be the best artifact in the Marvel set, which sounds odd because that's like me going back on the 10 Rings, because 10 Rings is the most talked about card at the moment. We're talking about drawing, 10 cards from nowhere? Or up to 10 from thin air. A permanent that says your maximum hand size is 10 for 8 mana. At the beginning of your end step, if you have fewer than 10 cards, you draw the difference. It's ridiculously strong. In a way, it's like allowing all the colors in the game to have access to a Necropotence. I mean, that's kind of nuts, right? It sounds extremely powerful, but sometimes it's a matter of when do we get these cards? What are the conditions, right? Face value, getting equal to the difference of 10 in any color combination. It sounds amazing, but it has to be there. It has to stick, okay? We go back to the cube. You get a permanent that has Ward 2. Ward 2, which means if they don't pay 2 extra when targeting the cube, their spell would be countered if they were trying to remove it or do something to it, okay? And our trigger here, when you attack, you look at the top 6 artifacts, the top 6 cards of your library. You may cast a spell from among them with the mana value less than or equal to the greatest power of attacking creatures you control, not paying its cost. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Okay, we don't really care about that part. I think what catches my attention is that it's when you attack. It's not when you deal damage, like a Buster Sword. It's just a condition of having a creature with a very high power. And we look at this card, it's got something very special going for it. And what I wanted to really talk about is its family. Cosmic Cube is in a family of cards that just cheat stuff in, okay? So, what is this family? I'm talking about a family of very powerful cards, starting with this dumb dinosaur I'm not a fan of, but is undeniably a very powerful card in the game. Atali, Primal Conqueror. When it enters, many of you already know, that player and his 3 opponents are going to reveal the top card of their library till they hit a non-land. He's going to get those spells for free. Extremely dumb, extremely powerful. Does a lot of work, pulls a lot of weight. Then we want to look at another one. We're going to look at, I'm going to put March and Ents, and then you get this thing. Last March of the Ents, spell can't be countered. Player's going to draw equal to the greatest toughness amongst creatures they control, similar to the cube, because we're looking at the stats of the creature that you have to get the most value of the card. I'm going to draw that many cards, put any number of creatures from your hand into the field for free. It's dumping cards for free. The card is telling you that it's good, okay? But the cube is telling you that it wants something. It wants a creature with a high power stat. So, when I think of cards, and I'm talking about these families and things like that, we need to consider a commander that could truly take advantage of this. And you don't even have to look at it as, oh, do I need a commander or a creature that's directly from Marvel? No, a lot of these cards, a lot of these commanders already exist, okay? So, we're going to look at this guy, okay? This little dude is from Ether Drift. I mean, Ether Drift is a meme, right? As a set, we joke around and say, like, oh, all the things that went wrong. One thing that people have to understand is that some of these cards that don't really have a place, we're talking about Marvel, a set with over like what feels like 100 or so legendaries, is really revitalizing and having me look at a lot of cards that aren't good or bad cards a lot differently. So when we look at this guy, he says his power is equal to the number of artifacts that you control. So he's a 0-3, but when he's on the field, he counts himself. He's automatically a 1-3. With enough artifacts in play, your cube, when you dig for that 6, you could get something ridiculously strong. So what I think, or what comes to my mind, I look at extra turns. All right, so we're going to look at Beacon of Tomorrow. If I could spell today. Hopefully something happens to me and I learn how to spell again. But so yeah, Beacon of Tomorrow says target player takes an extra turn after this one. Shuffle Beacon of Tomorrow's back into its owner's library. 8 mana spell, okay? So in theory, I'm not saying this would happen, but if we have the Cosmic Cube in play and we swing with the Medican Core, and if he has 8 power, if you just have 8 artifacts in play, we are going to cast this spell for free after finding it in our 6, possibly, shuffle it back in, take an extra turn, and if we could find this card again, we're going to continue taking extra turns. We might get infinite turns off of the cube for no reason, just besides the fact that our commander is big. What if we find a Enter the Infinite? Enter the Infinite, which means if your little dude, your Medicaid Core is at 12 power, you find this card in your 6, you cast this, and you take your entire deck, put it in your hand, and you probably win from there. It sounds silly, but it is interesting because it's enabling the power of having high power on a creature. The first card, I think, in this family, if we're looking at Medican Core and his family, and cards that breach off and do these things, is actually in, I feel like, in green. Omnath. We're talking about before Omnath had all these fancy colors and all these other things going on. Omnath had a +1/+1 for each unspent green mana that you would have. Okay? And we could even talk about like maybe Multani and the other guy and Multani and Yargle and all these other combinations of a commander or so having high power. But what I really like is that in blue, specifically in blue, I think we could take advantage of the cube the most. So if we dial into that, delve deeper, I think about an artifact like Leyline Axe, okay? And I'll make sense of it in a moment, okay? Leyline Axe is an equipment that we could put on our Medican Core to hit really, really hard because it's going to pump him twice. It's going to get +1/+1 off of the equip, and just it being an artifact would also increase its power. But that's not why we want this. We're looking at the fact that we could potentially have this in the beginning of the game. So if you have Leyline Axe when the game starts, a lot of crazy things can ensue.